So, hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Yamanishi. Thank you very much for attending a performance briefing of the third quarter of fiscal year March 2020. So, from my side, I would like to talk about the outline of our consolidated results. So, in terms of the highlight of our earnings, from the second quarter, the U.S.-China trade frictions have become serious with major repercussions on the global economy. This third quarter, the world economy, including China, is uncertain. And in terms of the major markets that we do our business in, there has not been a major change in the demand environment. The environment continues to be tough. For the third quarter, year over year, although of that kind of situation, we have been able to see a both increase in sales and profit year over year. In terms of the sales of the third quarter, year over year, it increased by 1.4%. In terms of the operating income, year over year, it grew by 23.2%, a major increase. On 9-month cumulative basis, sales declined against the previous year. However, operating income, profit before tax, and profit after tax has been a record high. In terms of operating income on a 9-month basis, we have been able to exceed 100 billion yen for the first time in our history. In terms of the demand trend overall, the same trend is continuing as the previous quarter. However, in the ICT markets, the 5G demand has started to ramp up. So for 5G smartphones and for base stations, we have started to see a sales increase for rechargeable batteries, high-frequency components, MLCC, and inductors. And these products have been contributing greatly to our increase of the earnings. Specifically for rechargeable batteries, we have been leveraging a broad customer base. And in the previous second quarter, even after the peak season of the smartphones, we have been able to maintain a high level of earnings, and this has been driving our business. In terms of the automotive industrial equipment market, the overall demand globally, including China, has been slow, and the demand level is below our initial projections. Year over year, the sales has declined in this area. As a result, excluding the increased sales, increased profit of the high-frequency component and the other passive components business year over year, we saw a decline both in sales and profit. In the sensor application products, TMR sensors and MEMS sensor, which are strategic growth products, these products, sales has grown in these products, but the conventional products such as temperature sensors and Hall sensors, due to the sales to the automotive industry has been slow, the overall earnings improvement is delayed. In the short term, we are assuming that we cannot see a rapid recovery of the global economy. So, in terms of the DX advancement, the so-called digital transformation that can be represented by the 5G, ramp up of the 5G, and in terms of the acceleration of response to the energy, so this is called the energy transformation. These trends are going to advance further. Against this backdrop, we should always be ahead of the curve to capture market needs, and we will continue to prepare to grasp the growth opportunity for us in the future. Going to our performance outline, against the dollar and against the euro, the yen has been strong. And due to this situation, the sales has been impacted negatively by 14.5 billion yen. The operating profit has been declining by 1.5 billion yen. But in terms of sales, 355.6 billion yen. This has been a 1.4% of increase. Operating income was 40.4 billion yen. Year over year has been a 23.2%, a substantial increase. We have been able to maintain increase both in sales and profit. The profit before tax is 41.2 billion yen. The profit is 29.5 billion yen. EPS is 233.35 yen. In terms of the sensitivity against the currency, it is same as before. Operating income, in terms of the relationship between yen to the dollar, that will be a 1.2 billion impact for the year. In terms of the euro, it will be an impact of 0.2 billion yen for the year. Then let's go to the by segment status update. So from this term, some of the products in inductive devices have been reclassified as other passive components. In this third quarter, compared to the previous years for inductive devices, the sales has gone down by 2.2 billion yen. Operating income has declined by 0.4 billion yen. So the passive components sales was 98.3 billion yen. This has been a year-over-year decline of 7.9%. Operating income was 10.6 billion yen, year-over-year 27.9% of decline. Operating margin is 10.8%. So if you look at the market condition that impacts the passive components, automotive and in the industrial equipment market, the demand has been stagnant. The Europe and U.S. major distributor is conducting an inventory adjustment, and that has been impacting business. And we have seen a ramp-up of 5G in China, and there has been more active business trends in the 5G-related products. For ceramic capacitors, the automotive demand has been slow, but even so, our sales to the automotive business has been increasing steadily. So in the ICT business overall, it has been flat, but that said, we are seeing an increase of sales to the 5G base stations. However, the sales to the distributors has gone down substantially, so that has been a 12.6% decline of sales overall. Because of the decline in sales, the operating income has declined as well. But we have been able to increase the product mix of sales of the high added value products, and we have seen ASP increase. The profitability is still at a high level. For the aluminum, electrolytic, and film capacitors, same as the last quarter, the automotive and for the renewable energy-related industrial equipment for these areas, the sales has gone down. So we're seeing a decline both in sales and profit. For inductive devices, we have seen an increase for 5G-related products. And sales to the ICT market has grown. However, for the automotive industrial equipment, sales has been at a low level. And overall, we have seen a decline in both sales and profit. For high-frequency components, with the increase of 5G demand for the 5G smartphones and the base stations, the sales has increased. And we have been able to see an increase both in sales and profit in this area. For piezoelectric material products and circuit protection products, because of the decline of the demand of automotive and the ICT market sales has declined. So in this area, we saw both a decline in sales and profit. Next, going to the sensor application products. Sales was 20.3 billion yen. Year-over-year, this is a 3% increase of sales. Operating profit has been 5.5 billion yen of loss, which is the same level as last year. The InvenSense-related acquisition expenses has declined by 0.2 billion yen against the previous year, and overall, it is 1.4 billion yen. Globally, in the automotive and the industrial equipment market, we have not started to see a recovery in the demand. So the conventional sensors, such as temperature sensors and the Hall sensors, the sales continuing from the previous quarter, it has been slow. And from the previous year, the sales has gone down substantially, and the profitability has profit has been worsened, and this is putting a big drag on the overall business. On the other hand, in terms of strategic products that we are expecting high growth, for the TMR sensors for the automotive market, there are more volumes because it has been taken up for new applications, and because of this, the sales has increased steadily. For the smartphones, we are seeing an increase for the new models, and this has been greatly contributing to our sales expansion. For the MEMS sensor, for the motion sensors at a new client, the sales has been growing steadily. And for the MEMS microphone, we are increasing sales for IoT and smartphones. Because of the unfavorable macroeconomic situation, the overall earnings is stalling. And the improvement of the earnings is delayed. But structurally, we think we have been able to have a foundation to improve our earnings.
Next, magnetic application product business, the sales was 57.9 billion yen, 12.8% minus from year-on-year. Now, operating income was 5.2 billion yen, 33.3% minus on year-on-year, and operating income margin was 9.0%. HDD head suspensions business, when it comes to the demand for the demand trend, have dramatically changes from the year earlier. First of all, for the 2.5-inch HDD for the PC, consumer PCs, now has the recording density is going up. And on the other hand, the volume have declined for the HDD head for the PC. Now, the demand have been dramatically declined, but on the other hand, the HDD demand for the data center have recovered. So now we expect about the HDD head for the nearline have gradually recovers and increasing. And HDD and the recording the density of the nearline HDD have been phased up. In this circumstance, when it comes to HDD head, now at the entire segments, it have grown by 6% in terms of the sales volumes. But on the other hand, about the part of that the HDD assembly products and discontinued, so that's why an entire segment have declined by 40% of the sales year on year, and the total of HDD have declined in 15% as a whole. Then when it comes to HDD suspensions, the sales have almost flat in terms of the volume and the value of the sales, but on the other hand, application product of the suspensions have been declined in the sales for the ICT markets, and so that's why that the entire suspension business have dropped in sales by 6% year on year. And result of that, the HDD head and suspensions and the entire operating income was due to that the decline in top line and the profits for the suspension application products, and also as well as the HDD head, the declining top line and profits, and also the lowering of that the average selling price, and due to the switch to the product mix and the entire segments and have declined in profits. When it comes to magnets, we withdrew from the HDD magnets, and now the business and that's industrial equipment for the machine tools, the industrial robotics and the automotive markets have been slow. That's why the sales have dropped by 14% year on year, and operating incomes they have been supported by the effects of our improvements of productivity, and we could maintain the same level of loss from last year. Next, let me talk about the energy application products. The sales was 161.2 billion yen, operating income was 40.5 billion yen, 10.9% increase and 64.6% of a dramatic and increase of the income, and operating income margin was 25.1%. We have observed the big improvements of profitability. When it comes to secondary markets, now sales for that the smartphone in China have pushed up by the favorable effects of that the 5G network launch, and also we have the very good business for that major customers in the other regions, and pushed up the whole of that the sales for the smartphone business have substantially increased and booming, and also for the sales for the tablet and the notebook have steadily increased. On top of that, the wearable, the mini sale for the wearable devices like wireless, and also have steadily expand. So that now we have a 15% of sales increase year on year. And on top of this increasing in the top line, and we have a very favorable switch of the product mix and expansion of volumes have contributed to that improvement of the productivity, and if the pushed up that also for that the sales. Now we can expect the further improvements of the productivity. So this is the reason why I expanded that the sales and profits. When it comes to that the power supply for the industrial equipment, still it's adversely affected by the slowdown in the economy, and we experience and recognize it both and decline in both the sales and the profits. Next, let me talk about the quarterly results by segment from the Q2 to Q3 for both the sales and the operating income. The first of all, for passive component segment, the sales have declined by 3.6 billion yen, 3.5% the minus from the previous quarter. from the Q2 to Q3. When it comes to ceramic capacitors, although the sales have increased for the 5G base stations, but on the other hand, and our sales with the distributors have dropped it, and so the entire sales have gone into the declining trend. So eventually we have experienced that the declining sales. When it comes to aluminum film capacitors, although we have a slight increase in the business of renewable energy, but the whole of the business for the industrial equipment have declined in sales, and also declined another in the market like automotive, so that the capacitor business as a whole, we experienced about the 2.3 billion yen minus 5.8% decline from the quarter Q1 basis. For the inductive devices, sales have declined by 900 million yen, 2.5% decline from the previous quarter. And although the sales for the 5G and the handset devices have increased, but an ICT as a whole is almost flat. And the sales for the automotive markets have also been flat. And from the Q2, but on the other hand, for the business, the sales for the industrial equipment have been very slow and poor. That's why, and the whole of the entire segment experienced that declining the sales. Then when it comes to other passive components, the sales have declined by 300 million yen, 1.1%, a slight decline. High frequency components have increased the sales for the 5G handset devices as well as the base stations, but now, although again the slow in industrial equipment, and now the automotive, the sales and now try to make up for the decline in business for piezoelectric components and the circuit protection components. When it comes to the operating income for the passive components have declined by 800 million, 7.0% minus from the previous quarter. Ceramic capacitors and aluminum film capacitor, the inductive device, it had the decline in the profits, and due to that decline top line. And when it comes to high frequency products, it's been pushed up by the top line and the profit due to that increased productivity. And when it comes to piezoelectric components and circuit protections, it have been and absorbed that kind of decline trend by the cost reductions. When it comes to sensor application products, sales have declined by 500 million and 2.4% from the previous quarter. When it comes to the temperature and the pressure sensor, temperature sensors still have adversely affected by the slow market in automotive and have been declining and that sales. And when it comes to magnetic sensors, now it seems like that the whole sensor have just a little bit come back. But on the other hand, TMR sensor have peaked out its sales in the Q2 for that ICT market and almost a flat. Then when it comes to MEMS sensor, now, and the business with the microphone is almost flat, but on the other hand, the motion sensor have suffered from some declining demand in the smartphone manufacturers in China, particularly in the SMEs in China. So that's why it's dropped it a little bit from Q2. Operating income was about almost the same level of the loss of 5.5 billion this quarter. The temperature and the pressure sensor have decreased in sales and profit a little bit. And the magnetic sensor and the whole sensor have also a loss. That the margin of loss have been shrunk from the Q2. MEMS sensor have also still have a loss, but now and that the margin of loss have been just a little bit improved due to that the product mix and the cost reduction. Next, let me talk about magnetic application product segment. Sales have increased by 3.4 billion, 6.2% from the Q1Q basis from the previous quarter. At HDD head sales, you want to look at the sales, and the sales index have improved from 89 to 92 in the Q3. It means about 3% increase, and the sales of the HDD assembly also have an increase by 5% from the previous quarter, Q2. And when it comes to HDD suspensions, the hard disk drive suspension for nearline sales have substantially boomed, and suspension application products have also declined that now, and it can more than offset that is, and all in all, we have the 14% of increase. Sales of magnet have declined by 3% Q&Q. Operating income for the magnetic application products have increased by 1.7 billion yen, 48.6% from the previous quarter. HDD head and suspensions, for those have an increase in top line and profits on a Q-on-Q basis. Now for the magnetic products, and we have just a shrink a little bit of the margin of a loss due to that cost reduction. When it comes to energy application product segment, the sales have declined by 12.5 billion yen, 7.2%, the minus from Q2. Secondly, badly, although and pushed up is sales for the 5G handset devices, but now when it comes to sales in that's North America and Korea, and it have been and only peaked out in the Q2 and slightly declined, and it's almost the same as for that industrial power supplies. Then when it comes to operating income, it was declined by 2 billion yen to 40.5 billion yen. But this is due to mainly that and poor business for the secondary battery. Let me talk about breakdown and operating income changes. 7.6 billion yen, that's the bottom line here. But this is when you look at the changes, due to that declining, the change in the sales for the passive components, it have pushed down the profit. But now we have about the increase of profit for the secondary battery, and we have 11.2 billion yen of increase of the profit. When it comes 4.3 billion yen is pushed down by that declining and the reduction of sales prices, but that can be then offset by that and the improvements of productivity of the passive components and in other rationalizations and cost the effect of 4.1 billion yen. The other one is that 200 million yen for that restructuring efforts in Bensense, and the other M&A and the cost of reduced by 200 million yen, but including the 2.3 billion yen of increase of SG&A and 1.5 billion yen of the minus effects of that forex. And in total, now we have 7.6 billion yen. Next, let me talk about the overview of the consolidated results through Q3 of FY March 2020, the 9 months basis. Now sales was 1,062.7 billion yen, 0.9% of decline. On operating income was 109.2 billion yen. And 14.3 billion yen, 15.1% increase. And the income before the tax was 109.8 billion yen. Net income was the 74.4 billion yen, and 7.2% of increase and the increase. But the sales, operating income, and for all this net income before the tax and all, and post tax was all the record all-time high. Next, let me talk about the full year projection for the FY March 2020. There's no any changes made from that the forecast we previously made in October. So in October, the last time, we have downwardly revised only for the net sales due to this major change of the demand in the market. But after that, now, and the launch of that full launch of the 5G and projects, and also recovery of the semiconductor-related business. But on the other hand, we have the negative impact by that the trade war between the U.S. and China, and other adversely affect the ICT markets. And now, when I look at that, any uncertain and slow the demand in the automotive, industrial equipment, and now we have experience about the inventory adjustment for that major distributors in the U.S. and taking all this into considerations, we did not change and the forecast. Operating income, the income before tax, and net income, there's no any change in the forecast. When it comes to foreign exchange rate for the Q4, as we have announced last time, and 108 yen to that the dollar, and 120 yen to euro. There's no any change. So when it comes to dividends, and again, it's 90 yen for the second half and 180 yen for the full year basis. Although there was uncertainty in the global economy, but anyway, we like to do utmost to achieve that target profits, and the carefully watching about the changing of the demand in the economy. We like to just grab the opportunity for this growth, and we like to do and steadily and implement our actions so that we can have the further growth after the year and of the next and the fiscal year and the next fiscal year and onwards. That's all my presentation. Thank you very much.